Hey, I am still having some technical difficulties. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I am speaking just fine. I'm gonna lower my
Yeah, I'm trying to, for some reason, when I try and when I'm trying to connect to Facebook, it's not doing that, and that is causing obviously a lot of problems for me. So give me one. Hmm.
Okay, sure. Keep going. I got nothing. I got time. Get up here in a second, so that's cool.
Yeah. So yeah, just bear with me for 2 seconds while I try it. But at least we are connected. So when I'm on screen, my background looks obviously different than this. But this is just you can see me
Oh,
though.
cool.
But yeah, I'm
I
trying
bought
to.
one of those. I just never put it up.
Oh, yeah, well,
Is
this is
sideways okay, or do I have to do it straight up?
now you can do whatever because I'm gonna actually edit your
Cool.
edit your screen to put you next to me, and then I'm gonna get us hopefully connected here in the next few seconds. So maybe just another couple minutes. Don't want to take up too much of your time.
What did I just do?
And believe it or not, I usually don't have technical difficulties or nothing like this, which is the frustrating part. So. Excuse me. Ah, shit. All right, we're just gonna have to do this a little simpler than I would normally do. Okay. All right, I got you there. So now, of all the times for this to work funny, would be tonight. So,
Just restarting it. That's what happened for me.
well, I got you. The Hangouts thing is good now. It's just I use a program called OBS to stream live to Facebook, and that way I can make some edits and do other things. And for some reason, and I'm a little afraid to start over completely because I don't want to lose you. I don't want to lose you since I got you here. But it's the craziest thing. Oh man. I'm so sorry. Okay. So here's a weird thing. For some reason, it won't let me stream from my page. I mean, from the show's page, but it's letting me stream from my personal page,
Oh.
which is really
Are you
weird.
are you located in Dallas?
Yeah, I'm in Dallas.
Sure. At least maybe a little bit dark. Right. Let me see good. Darken it. Dim it a little bit.
So like if all right, let me, because I can see us in my
Is
live
that
when,
better? Does it better with this lighting?
yeah, because your face is
Visible.
yeah. There you go. All right. All right. What we might have to do is, and this is gonna,
That's fine. Stream it from your page, your personal page.
yeah, I might just stream from my page, and then I'll just tag everything. We'll just, yeah, because it's I don't know what the hell's going on. All right. Let's that way we don't.
Let me just, yeah, just one. Yeah, let me just look over something real quick.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Does my background look okay, or is it distracting?
No, you're fine. Yeah, you're good. You're good. Let me. I can show you. Let me see. Because once you go to Facebook, you'll be able to see what we look like here. All right, I'm just gonna had a problem streaming from at the vocal minority. All right, so I'm gonna tag you in this post here, but you'll be able to. Let me make it
All
the
right.
whole screen. I hate not being on time. It really irks me. But this is my school, so I have to do. All right. All right, I can be ready whenever you are.
All right. You want me
Oh yeah, no problem. I'm looking at something different, so I can't see your face. So just tell me when you're ready. I'm gonna go ahead and go live. And I'm gonna hold screen up now, so all the audience will be able to see and hear the logo and the sound. All right, so people are starting to join now. You ready? Let's do this. So I'm gonna cut the music, and well, you can't hear the music now, but once I cut it, it'll go straight to Facebook, and I'll just go start talking. So I'll just get right into it. You ready? All right. Welcome to another episode of the Vocal Minority Report. It is your boy MC. We got a great show for you today, despite some technical difficulties. but happy to be here and happy to have a lovely, lovely guest with me. So you guys don't just have to look at and hear me talk today. I've got the lovely,
They can see me.
yeah, they can see you, they can hear
Hey,
you,
y'all.
and yeah, you are now part of the vocal minority. I hope everybody can hear you. Let's see if you're on and you can hear us. Please let me know, and then we'll go ahead and get into it. Like I said, we got a couple technical difficulties, so we'll make it work though, and get into talking about the Amber Guyger murder trial. Obviously, that is what is on everyone's mind here in Dallas and beyond. You see, it made national news. It's been making national news, but this verdict obviously is a big deal to a lot of people. So let's get right into it. Symone, we can just I don't know if we want to recap today. What I've been doing is going over each individual day, kind of what's been happening, and then kind of just getting into it. So, might as well start with
Big finale.
the big finale, right? So you want to get you were at the courthouse when it happened. Let me introduce you. Let me
Yes.
give you a proper introduction. I'm sorry for everybody just now joining us. This is the lovely, the talented, the great Symone Redwine. She is an attorney, a former judge. She is a podcast host. She is an international traveler. I mean, she is a little bit of everything, but she's a really great, wonderful legal mind. In addition to all those things, she's here located in Dallas, Dallas County, serving people
Mhm.
proudly, helping them clear their records, helping them stay out of jail. I mean, she does a lot of stuff for the people. So
Yes.
so that's who she is and who you are, and why I wanted to talk to you today. So you were at the courthouse today, as you
I
are
was. I was.
most
Yeah, and just to
mornings.
introduce myself, yes, I'm Symone Redwine. I host a podcast called Is That Legal? And you can find it on Instagram at Is That Legal Show. And by host, I mean I've made like 5 episodes, probably released like two. So basically, if you enjoy today, then feel free to go in my DMs and be like, when are you gonna have an episode of your podcast? Because I need like friends to keep me attentive, and I need some accountability partners. So it's been something I've stopped and started. Nonetheless, yes, I'm an attorney born and raised in Dallas. Went to school on the East Coast, came back with my own firm. My firm is called, well, the main website is myrecordisclean.com. I specialize in cleaning and sealing criminal records in the state of Texas. I also represent people accused of misdemeanors and felonies. Earlier this year, I was really excited because myself, Professor Myra McIntosh, and candidate for judge, Ms. Audra Riley, represented an innocent man who was facing life and got a not guilty verdict at trial. It was a really terrible case. We'll get into that another day. But today, I want to talk about that guilty verdict, that murder verdict that we got. So, yes, as Melvin said, I was at the courthouse today. I was working on some other cases. And I have to tell you, in my over a decade of practice, never in my life have I seen everyone in the courthouse so attentive, like all of the judges, even in the prosecutors' offices. They were either listening to it on their phones all week, or a lot of the judges actually had it playing in court and they'd like pause it as they were handling cases. So when that verdict came out, baby, I was in one of the prosecutors' offices where like you go in to like discuss your case, make a plea, whatever. So it was filled with defense attorneys, prosecutors. Never in my life have I heard both prosecutors and defense attorneys cheer when a verdict came. Everybody was cheering. I was like, oh my gosh, this is a new Dallas County. This is a new DA's office. Like, it made me so hopeful. It made me so hopeful.
So let me ask you. So when you did you hear any detractors? Did you hear anyone who wasn't necessarily excited? Just out of curiosity.
Nope. If they did feel that way, they didn't feel comfortable expressing it. And I feel like that's great. Because when we had a Republican DA running things and having the Republicans we had for many, many years, they felt quite cozy, quite comfortable saying ridiculous things. Um, so yeah, no. And I think the probably the people who maybe felt more so that way may have been some of the bailiffs. I don't know, but Even they weren't talking about it. But I do feel like everybody was shocked that it was murder. Everybody.
Okay,
Not because go ahead.
no, well, you're about to take us down that road.
Yeah, I was gonna say not because so the options were murder or manslaughter. And actually I was disappointed that criminally negligent homicide wasn't on the table. Not because I thought it fit, because what but because I felt that the jury might have been swayed by her little streaming tears of mayonnaise and wanted to convict her of something
you can't
lesser.
call him mayonnaise, Simone. Come on now.
They're mayonnaise tears.
Okay.
Tears didn't even come. She cries like my 2-year-old when she wants more snack and ain't even really hungry. She just wanted to persuade you, but I mean, I think many people felt she was upset for how this has impacted her life, but I can't say she wouldn't have done it, would have done it any differently. Maybe now knowing the consequences, but yeah, I think a lot of people that I experienced in Dallas, they like to now you go to Tarrant County. That's why I don't like practicing Tarrant County. That raises my blood pressure because they're ignorant.
Despite the number of black people that live in Tarrant County, they are overwhelmingly Republican, and yes, and blue on that side, definitely. So yeah, no, that I can't even imagine. But you know that's interesting. You mentioned the new DA we have. I was talking to Sean King, the great Sean King, the other day at the Botham Jean
Didn't
Red
you
Tie
love
event.
him?
I do, I
He's
do.
he's
I
so
love him.
brave. He's so
He's
courageous.
he's very brave and courageous, and he's got his finger on the pulse of the issues that are affecting us. And when I was talking to him the other day, he was saying how he and they were helpful in helping getting Cruzo elected, and part of that push there. And so let's
Agreed.
talk about.
Sure
I want to
were.
talk about that the changing of Dallas and the DA's office. When you look at the courtroom, you can
Woo.
see all the black faces there. But let's talk more about the murder charge and murder versus manslaughter. You mentioned negligent homicide, I believe. So
Wasn't it was an option, but what happened was neither side asked for it to be submitted to the jury, so it wasn't.
okay,
And that is an offense that is my understanding. I believe could have been probation, so that didn't even get submitted.
so okay, and are you good with that? Or you said you're not good with that. Why
I
would you
wanted
want that
it
to be
only because
included?
I didn't think we give murder. I thought they might be persuaded and not even give her manslaughter. So I said we got to get something because I need my reparations for Trayvon.
No doubt. No, I was listening to WBAP here in Dallas. That's to get another side. I can only read so many Facebook comments of people who weren't happy with the verdict or wanted to go a different way. But
Mm-hmm.
Lee Merritt made it very clear, and Crump, Washington, all of the attorneys, Darrell Washington, Ben Crump, they made it very clear that this is for Trayvon, Sandra Bland, Eric Garner. Unfortunately, the list is too long for me to go on. I would literally leave off names. There's been so many black men and women who are there. But this radio host was saying, that he didn't feel that way. And, why is this, why are black people acting like this? Obviously, we know why.
Was he
But
black?
no, no, of course not. No, he
Well,
was
he can't feel that way because it was never going to be him.
right. Oh,
I
right.
don't
He wouldn't
expect
be
him
both of
to.
them. Right.
Like you have to be very brilliant and empathetic to have his reality, which is probably one where he doesn't come into contact with black people unless we're servicing him. He doesn't have any black friends that come to his house on Thanksgiving or Christmas or holidays. So I could see how he could say, I don't see how you needed that. What? Because it could never be you.
Right. So, all right,
But
let's
they'd be the same ones who complain about affirmative action, talking about this stuff isn't fair. They see that, they can experience that. Hmm. Hmm.
so man, there's so many tentacles to get
I know,
into
right?
because that obviously will take us down a whole nother path
Yeah, another
about
rabbit hole.
the humanity
Yeah.
of black people and lack thereof in this country and why we are viewed this way and what brought her to think it was okay to shoot down Botham Jean in his apartment. So let's you want to talk about your impressions of the closing arguments or
Yeah.
just
So I was thinking we could talk about, we've just talked about murder versus manslaughter. I was thinking we can talk about the sentencing options as well as the closing arguments, and then kind of give some predictions on where we think they'll go with the sentencing.
Yeah, let's do that. Before we do that, tell me a little bit more about manslaughter. Can you break it down as to reckless, what a reckless action is for manslaughter versus actual the knowingly and intentional causing death, that that specific clause in the murder
Yeah, so
piece.
basically, with so a few things can come into play with manslaughter, but more relevantly here, reckless means I should have known this thing I'm doing is dangerous and could have killed somebody, but I wasn't really paying attention. Like, I had this gun and I'm waving it around, and I should have known that by waving it around, there's a chance a shot will go off and hurt somebody. Okay, that's reckless. Intentional or knowing is obviously what those things are. It's like I meant and I intended to do these things. It's basically about an appreciation of your act. Well, for her, the defense took a huge gamble when they put that little girl on the stand and had her admit, I killed Botham John and I intended to kill him because I believed he was a threat. Here's why that's stupid. Here's why she's stupid. Hold on. Her attorneys are not stupid. Okay. I think they did a great job. Her defense attorneys did a great job,
Right.
especially with what they had. But for her to say, I think she would have been better off by saying, I just wanted to stop him from charging at me. Because for me, like, I'm a terrible shoot when I go to the gun range,
Okay.
okay? I try to shoot them in the stomach and the balls, okay? And because I don't want to kill anybody, that's not my goal, right?
Right.
And so it was just patently unreasonable for her to say, this man on the other side of the counter, even if she thinks it's her place, he is on the other side of a counter, on the other side of an ironing board. He had to run around from the ironing board, go run around the counter, go around the ironing board to come at her, or else he had to jump over her, like he's like Ezekiel Tyson, jump over the countertop. That wouldn't be feasible, okay?
Right.
And that she felt he was a threat charging her. Look, girl, you lying. Ain't nobody a threat who's sitting around in their drawers watching TV eating ice cream. Threats don't eat ice cream. Angry people don't eat ice cream. You
Okay.
cannot be angry and eat ice cream. But anyway, no, but more seriously, I think there was just like a host of like dumb, foolish things. And I think so. The biggest risk they took is they intentionally had her say, I intended to kill him. Why? Because that would only put murder on the table in their mind. And then they felt that the evidence they presented was sufficient enough to, get them the self-defense. Because remember, all they had to show is that the prosecution did not prove with uh, beyond a reasonable doubt that she really truly believed she was in fear and that fear was reasonable.
Okay.
But when we talk about the closing, right, there were a number of facts to show it was unreasonable. What were some of the most telling facts for you that went to the unreasonableness?
Uh, well, I mean, where do I
I
start?
got a few
I mean, what? I mean, I
as
always
a
said, well, obviously the red mat is one
got the
thing
rim out.
that I mean, she was standing on it. I mean, he made a point to say that at the close, but I feel like I've been saying that for however many days. Like, she's standing on the mat. It's unreasonable.
Right.
It's also unreasonable. I don't necessarily. Well, this is separate. This wasn't mentioned in the closing arguments, but why would we believe that the lights were off? Just one thing to think about. Why would we ever believe her that the lights were off? So that's just
And
one
B,
thing. But a
why you
side
didn't
note.
turn them on? Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. If I come in my house and I think I see somebody in there, I need to know who it is. Is it my ex-boyfriend? Because then
Right.
I need a restraining order. Is it, my neighbor who's a peeping Tom? Because then then I need to move for real, for real.
Right.
Like if I see somebody, I'm not just gonna start shooting. I need to know who it is. But then at the same time, I want to make sure I'm not making a mistake. It's not my friend, it's not a relative, it's not someone I once given a key to. So to shoot in the dark, girl, bye.
E- Exactly. So that even though that wasn't in the closing as far as reasonableness, her ignoring all the other options that she had. I mean, cover and concealment obviously was set ad nauseum, but beyond that, I mean, the duty to don't citizens have the duty to retreat? You know, to mitigate
Okay.
circumstances.
So this is why you don't make statements to the police when you get arrested. Okay. Okay. She had like 3 days to prep her statement. And what they did that was beautiful is they had her say she stepped in and she felt that little metal part of the door to enter into her door.
Right.
That triggered, in this instance, the judge allowed in what was called the castle defense. The castle defense is the defense that says you are not required to retreat. Okay. But holla, 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 holla. That is only if a jury feels your conduct was reasonable. So where it wasn't reasonable for you to be in there in the first place, you don't get it. And it doesn't apply before you enter your home. So like you can't be standing on the street, see your baby daddy in the house and start just shooting. What she did, the facts showed, she based the key, her key, she's writing in it, and her key was still in the door.
Right.
The facts show she pulled a gun out in the hallway. And she said she heard wrestling inside. I'm not going in no place with no wrestling because that means I either have a prowler or rodents. I want neither.
And you're a cop. Like she is. That's one thing.
Yes,
Obviously,
she could have called for backup.
she
And the
had
way that the
had a radio on. I mean, I'm
yes,
reaching here, but I mean, yeah, she had a radio here. You know,
well, also she said the door was propped open, right? So if I have the door propped open and I have stuff in my hand and I see a person, you don't take your butt in the hallway and start screaming because
exactly.
the way those hallways were, you everybody could hear you on your level, the level above you, because it was open air. So if she would have screamed, everybody would have heard her, and everybody would have come out their door like, "What's going on?" So it made no sense for her to say, for to proceed. Who's going to proceed further into a dark apartment versus out? But I'll tell you real quick, my two things that for me, I have I found the most reasonable, and which I think backfired and probably also helped the jury find her conduct was unreasonable. First, this cop lost her job after they investigated her conduct. Hold on now. The cop lost her job within about a month. Now, it is so difficult for a cop to lose their job. So that investigation must have shown her conduct was unreasonable. Hell, there are cops who 4 years later still on administrative leave, still collecting a check. Me and meanwhile, you can't collect a check for 3 years on welfare if you don't get up and go to work. And so I just say that to say like the fact that this cop lost her job, unreasonable. And then second, the main really the main arguments for the defense were it's a common occurrence, it happens all the time.
Right.
Look at these statistics. Boy bye. You are foolish and you're silly. Because so they said 93 people in the prior 2 years per their investigation went to the wrong floor and then the wrong unit. And
And
of
Toby
those,
Shook said, "Oh, go ahead, finish. Go
and
finish. You're
of
about to say
those,
it. Yeah.
they said half walked into the wrong apartment. And
Right.
Toby Shook did what?
No, he said 44%. So I was just gonna say you said half. I mean that was part of his closing. I mean
So
to
half.
harp on that. Yes. Right.
Look, now I don't know what underfunded school that math came from, but that means your conduct was 1 in 44.
Exactly.
Therefore, you're unreasonable.
Yeah.
None of those, and some people say, well, they didn't have a gun. But I believe even if they had a gun, the bottom line was this. When those people looked around and saw indications they were in the wrong spot, they backed the hell out of there.
And how many
And in
cops?
this, go ahead.
No, I'm just going to say this is just a kind of random, but how many cops live in buildings with interior elevators, work 40 hours Monday through Thursday, and have gear in their left hand, come home and never shoot anybody if they make that mistake? So I mean,
First of
we'll
all,
never
who
know the
shoots
number.
somebody with stuff in their hands? Not a doggone soul. You're gonna drop that stuff. You're gonna use both hands if you're saying, "Show me your hands, show me your hands." And one of those hands can flip the damn light on. In
Especially,
addition, oh, go ahead.
no, you're good. No, you're rolling.
So
Go
I
ahead.
was saying, so with those stats, right? That basically, let's say 46 of those people, so half those people actually walked into the wrong unit. See, here's the thing. I've done that. Lots of I've gone into the wrong hotel room, or at least try to use my key in the wrong hotel room, etc., etc. And then I've walked into the wrong rooms before. Every time I've ever done that, and every time a reasonable person has done that, they say, oh, maybe I'm in the wrong place. She is the one who decided she was entitled to be there. And based on her sense of entitlement, she assumed, well, he must be a burglar. If I deserve to be here, you, black boy, must be a burglar. Now, I'm not saying she's racist, but I am saying I do believe it had been somebody who looked like her, girl or boy, sitting on that sofa. She wouldn't have presumed a little white woman that looked like her was a burglar. I think it would have been more easily empathetic. She would have been like, "Oh, are you Kim's friend? Are you someone like? Are you like?" Or, "I'm in the wrong place." So basically, I feel like the crux of it was the defense's best evidence was the best evidence for the prosecution.
So, as savvy as that team, the defense team is, I mean, they had an uphill battle. Based on the way the prosecution presented the case, I said all along it was like the prosecution was like chopping down the tree of reasonable doubt. That's, I mean,
But
that's a
they had an uphill battle because it was Dallas County, because it was the new Dallas County.
right.
Because what usually happens, so they wanted it to move to Kaufman County. Well, I call her Judge Auntie Tammy in my head. She's like my auntie. She wasn't having that because when she had to go and turn herself in, they didn't have her turn herself in Dallas. They had her do it in Kaufman County. She was in and out in an hour. It takes me long to get my hair done. Okay, so then saying, "Oh, we want the case transferred here," where she's already been given preferential treatment. I was so glad that the judge saw through that, dired the jury, which meant basically asked the jury certain questions to see if there was enough of the people here to give her a fair shot, and it worked. So I think we got the results because you have all these factors coming into play to create a fair jury, and she got a jury of her peers, four black people. I think there was an Asian, two whites, and some Hispanic people. Those are her peers.
Yeah, I mean, this is Dallas County. That's what I was saying this to someone the other day. I mean, Dallas is a diverse city. I mean, in the metroplex in general, but Dallas specifically, and that's the jury. That's what it should reflect. And I hear it's so funny. I've heard some people say, and some of them happen to be white, and that's the unfortunate part because they look at it like, oh my God, of course you had five Negroes on there or four, whatever it is, and four Hispanics. So what else are they going to do? Like they got it wrong, obviously completely ignoring the fact that
So you've heard people say that, or you've read that,
I've heard people say
and
that. I've I've I've
I'm
I've, I-
wow.
I've heard and read that about the yeah. I mean the same way we would cite the demographics of like the way it used to be and traditionally is, 80 to 95, 97% white folks. Yeah, are
I always
upset.
say we'll know that when the justice system is fair when they give black people all black juries.
I'm telling you,
Until they're willing to do that, or any other group, like
right?
literally. And I'm saying, assuming those people are qualified and they show up,
Of
etc.,
course, of
etc.
course.
But never in my life have I ever seen a prosecution allow or want an all black jury for a black defendant. And of course, it used to be Dallas County policy. So Dallas County is actually was so racist in the 80s that their prosecutor manual that they give to each prosecutor, it said, we don't want no Chicanos on the jury, no Negroes, no Catholics, and no Jews, because they sympathize with defendants. Hmm. Okay. And it ended up going to the Supreme Court. The case was called Batson as well as Miller L. I worked on Miller L in college. And basically, that's why they can't keep kicking us off juries just because we're brown. But here, I think it also, when you have those people in your jury, they humanize the facts, right? So, and I don't think it was going to be like race. I don't think like the two white people were going to be like not guilty, right? Because
Right.
I've heard older black women be like manslaughter at best, right? But I think that when you are sequestered and you're with people all day, every day, you see the human in them. And I think it would be difficult to make friends with someone and have friends of other races and basically look them in the eye and know that, like, hey, if I let this girl walk, you, ma'am, could be one of those 46 people that made the mistake, that where a mistake was made, and you could be dead, and they get away with it. That means 46, like basically more murders a year in Dallas that would be just fine, just
Right.
cool. Like, no, that doesn't make sense. But I also wanted to talk about. Let's talk about they did the sentencing and how sentencing works in Texas, because it's weird. It's unique from other states. In most states, the sentencing is done exclusively by the judge, pursuant to a range of time. Nope. In Texas, the jury does the sentencing. And in this instance, because it was murder, the absolute minimum she can get is 5 years. The max is life. And some people had been talking about the fact that we had a law in Texas that says basically if the sentence is 10 years or less, the person can put up an appeal bond and appeal the case, um, appeal their sentence or appeal the case and basically not have to sit in jail during that.
Right.
I actually had a homeboy and he went through that, bless his little heart. But the law changed in 2017. I know I have a
No.
plethora of friends. That's a different story. But the law changed in 2017, so that's actually not true anymore. So she
Oh.
is going to
Wow.
have
Okay.
to, yeah. So she's not going to avoid doing a day in jail.
All right. I need
When
need
they
to make sure
issue that
people know that.
sentence, what's that?
No, I'm just saying I need to make sure people know that because I've been hearing
Yeah, for
the
sure.
opposite of that. So yeah.
So
Okay.
when they enter, yeah, so when the jury comes back with whatever they come back with, she's got to immediately start serving. She can appeal all she wants to, but she's going to appeal from behind some little bars back there. Also, Texas jails, like someone's like, she's going to be in minimum security. The hell she is. They classify you not by how well you cry your mayonnaise tears on the stand, but by what the offense was. So you're initially classified based on the offense. So murder, of course, will be the highest security level, and then you can earn their trust and become what's called a trustee or get transferred, etc., etc. So today, though, for the sentencing phase, what they allow in is basically character evidence to show this chick is raggedy and or this chick is racist. Did you get a chance to watch today?
I watched about half
Okay.
of that. I heard some of both of them, and I saw some of the text messages. So I heard half to half to two thirds. So tell me what
I
I
got a few.
missed.
I just have a few highlights I want to
Okay.
hit on.
Yeah.
So the gist of what the state submitted were different text messages, and she's got some Pinterest things that talk about how she likes killing people and how she's racist. She did admit that. For example,
Wait,
starting out,
you said she admitted that she's racist. What did she say?
yes, quote, her other friend said that said something would be racist, and she wrote back, "It's okay, I'm the same," as in I'm racist too. Yeah, and went on to say like, "Oh, yeah, I hate pretty much everybody." And then the friend was like, "LOL, you don't mean that." She didn't clarify. In addition, she was covering the MLK parade. Okay, and that part about her being racist, 2 days before she killed Botham. That was September 4th,
Mm,
2015.
mm.
2 days before. Then, while she was on duty covering the MLK parade, she asked, or one of her friends that was also an officer said, "When is the parade going to be over?" And she said, "When MLK is dead." Ha ha ha. Mm-hmm. Then, in 2017, I'm sorry, no, then in a little earlier in 18, I think it was like Marchish, she was talking with someone and with another officer via text and was talking about how she was talking with her dick appointment uh officer. What's that? Whatever his name
I
was.
thought you were about to say a different officer, and you
A
said
different
her dick
No.
appointment. I got
We're
you.
gonna call him
Yes.
Officer Dick appointment.
Right.
Okay. Officer Dick, we'll call him that. She was talking with him and she said black officers have a different way of working and it shows.
Oh,
She mentioned that derogatory.
I read that because she said there's five. I have five of them, right? She said something about there's five of them with there's five black
Mhm.
officers here.
Meanwhile,
Yeah.
the chick, it was the black officer that Officer Armstrong, one of the black officers, that testified in a manner that was helpful to your case.
Hey, so let's talk about him real quick. Can we take a side road? Talk about Armstrong
Yeah,
real
let's
quick.
do that.
So,
Oh, and finally, hold on. The last one was during the parade. She told the other officer, just push him or pepper spray him with some pepper spray. Black folks. Talking about black folks because she wanted them dispersed. Just push them in peppers. Bitch, do you know people marched and were sprayed and hosed down, etc., etc., literally marching for the values of MLK, and you gonna want pepper spray us out here? Okay, because a lot of people don't realize she had an officer involved shooting a few years ago before this, where she shot someone. That guy just survived, and that was not admissible. But continue.
No,
I don't.
well,
Like,
I like to bring that up, and people who listen to this show know that because at first I thought the body count between her, Armstrong, Rivera, and it was four, but it's actually three because that man is
her
alive.
survived.
Yeah, he
She was
survived.
headshot.
So
She
yeah,
doesn't get any points for bad aim.
no. Fortunately, that man is alive. So I want to talk about
Thank you.
Armstrong, who I
Yeah.
mentioned he did kill someone too, but that was in a car accident. People can look up the details of that, but
Yeah.
um,
I'm not smiling because of him. I'm just thinking of
no, of course,
how contradictory he is.
right. So with that, he told the family, and obviously was good to charge with manslaughter initially. So what do you think, besides the obvious, especially him being a prosecution witness, which I mean, whatever, he's still law enforcement. But what do you think though prompted his change, if you had to speculate on that, from, hey, yeah, she should be charged with manslaughter, versus, you know what? Hey, she was completely reasonable in her actions. Matter of fact, I would have shot him too. I mean, that's essentially what he said. So okay, I mean, you can say that. I mean, I'll say it too, but I
I
want to get
don't know.
somebody else to
Maybe it
vouch
was,
for that.
and by money, I don't think he's being paid off.
Right.
But I do believe there is a brotherhood, and I do believe it would have been very difficult for him to get on the stand and say something derogatory to her and then go back to his job and continue to have a brotherhood with his coworkers.
Yeah,
But
go ahead.
so I think it was selfish. It was selfish.
Okay. Okay.
He felt like to continue with the lifestyle that I have, like, that's the only thing I can think of because, yeah, you're an idiot. Like, I wouldn't have even called that fool to the stand. Because first of all, they really wanted to bring him in to say, "Oh, girl's conduct was reasonable." Nah, raggedy fool. Clearly, it wasn't because she lost her job. The judge wouldn't allow him to do that though, because that was the ultimate issue, and the judge concluded he was not an expert with respect to that,
Right.
especially given that he done shot a bunch of people. But I wouldn't have called him. There are other people who did not conclude manslaughter who could have been called, you little idiot. So per, and per I don't know, perhaps he obtained some additional facts, but I also think it could very likely be that when faced with a murder charge, he felt that comparative to murder, the actions were reasonable, and or he may have learned some additional facts. For example, he did his investigation like 2 days before, and or 2 days after, or something in that
Right.
range. But subsequent, the defense attorneys did that investigation where they found that the 90 some, basically half the people walk into the wrong apartment. So it may have been factors such as that. It may have been where he felt Botham was shot. Who knows? But I just feel like that really made the defense experts look like hired liars.
It did, especially the former deputy chief and the and DISD superintendent, not superintendent, police chief, 37-year veteran. I'm sure he's had a great career, probably respected, but I mean, he is an expert testifier. I mean, he is paid to testify in cases. Which, I mean, there's a lot of folks who do that. I mean, if I was, I mean, shoot, I get paid to consult people, so I mean, I get it. But I mean, I think his level of credibility based on that, when you're paid to take a certain stance, over and over again, especially when you are, like you mentioned with Armstrong, and the same thing with the ballistics expert Haig. They are saying they're experts on certain things that only Amber Guyger can speak for because she is the one that made that action. So I know some people did not agree with the judge's ruling and not allowing that expert testimony, and it's probably what cut this trial, and it is what cut the trial in
So
half.
yeah, and so that's a good time to clarify what is expert testimony. Expert testimony, the sole purpose is to clarify something that is not readily clear to a layperson, to a regular person. So if
Excuse
something
me.
is just obvious. And the problem was their own experts said, well, it was obvious that blah, blah, blah. So whenever an expert report says that, strike, I'm getting you out of there, buddy. Then, because the best person to say what was or wasn't obvious was Amber, especially because at that point, they had already put her on the stand.
Right.
So they could have always brought her back. It's different though because she didn't have to take the stand. But when you already put her on the stand, she already speaks to something. An expert can't say what that person would have done, especially when we have documentation. It was directly in conflict with her job instructions, her training instructions.
So let's talk about that from a strategy standpoint. I mean, as a defense attorney, as someone who represents people, um, what would have been your strategy? And would you have put her? I
Not
thought it was
his
odd to put her
ass.
first.
Not his ass. Oh, what was that?
I'm from not his. I got you,
I may have would have tried to call someone else to say the same thing, but not the person who initially charged her with manslaughter.
right. What about putting Guyger on the stand first from as a defensive strategy? Because
So
basically that counters everything. I mean, had the experts or so-called and investigators told the story and then she then confirmed their story,
well,
we're talking about something different perhaps. But obviously, who can speak for her better than
yeah, I
her?
don't know. I don't know. I know that it definitely caught their attention because obviously they're tired, they're sleepy, blah blah blah. Like it really kind of like shook it up. And it gave the impression like she wants to tell her side. She's eager to let you see who she is, etc., etc. Plus, really, their experts were, I mean, their witnesses were largely experts, aside from the people that went in the wrong spots.
Right.
So yeah, I don't know. I don't think it hurt. I actually though I was listening super attentively because I thought she was going to be the only one that they called.
Okay.
I was surprised they didn't. But definitely when they didn't, when the judge wasn't going to allow oh boy to say her conduct was reasonable, I would have aborted that doggone ship for sure, for sure.
Yeah. No.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously I would have too because I mean you don't have tons to stand on. You can't prove that he's a threat. You can't prove where he was standing or sitting. Like there's so many things that they can't prove. They only have her word. The witnesses weren't there to testify to what they heard. They were testifying to, hey, we went to the wrong place. So I mean, it was a very very flimsy case. So I don't understand even some of the beyond people just being worried because police officers don't generally get convicted of murder when shooting, especially in the line of duty. They don't get convicted of shooting, murder. Excuse me, when killing a black person. So one certainly wouldn't expect that to happen when she's, I mean, technically off duty. But as
On
we
duty.
heard, when you're a Dallas police officer, and maybe it applies for most of the police officer, um,
Now,
police.
if she had been on duty, no, but it wouldn't have been on duty going into her own apartment. Like that wouldn't even happen. But basically, like if she was reporting to a burglary and did the same thing, she probably would have got off. I mean, she would have been okay with doing that because she'd be reporting to a burglary.
Right. Well, I mean, yeah, we now are all well versed in the actions you should take when you. We heard like 6 or 7 people say what they would do when encountering a burglary, and none of them said they would pull out their gun and shoot. The one that came closest, um, was actually Blair, Officer Blair. He was the closest one to validating her. Which I mean, validation might be
But
a little too
he said,
strong.
I don't know. There's a number of factors. And he said if he was already inside, he can't say what he would do. Plus, he's buff, he's strong. He might have been like, nigga, I will take you. You don't know. It's man to man.
Right.
But when they asked him if you were outside of the door and you were not faced with the threat, what would you do? And it was like he said it with like the common sense of a 6-year-old. Like I wouldn't go in. You know,
Right. Yeah. No.
stay
And
outside.
no. And that's like I said, he was the closest one. I mean, I'm sure they felt good when they got him to that point. You know what I mean? But that was all they had from backup from that perspective. So, all right, we she's convicted. We're all happy about that, even though a lot of folks did not expect it to happen. I saw a lot of black people
Let's
really.
talk. Yeah, let's talk sentencing.
Yeah, let's talk sentencing because that's really important
Yeah.
because folks are
Five, so 5 to 99 are the options. She
right.
has to serve time, and she has to start immediately. Okay, so first, I think the jury's going to come back tomorrow. So how it works is the jury has to be unanimous with a recommendation for the sentence. Here's one of the things that's like screwy about Texas. Okay, so I've done jury duty once. That's actually what I wrote my law school personal statement on. I got a scholarship. I did Dallas County jury duty. And
Okay.
when I did it, it was like, it eats me up to this day because it was basically a black guy, this white crackhead was trying to steal this black guy's crack, who's a dealer, and he tried to drive off with the crack, and we found him guilty. And but ultimately, I learned that it wasn't him who shot the guy; it was actually his homeboy who exercised his Fifth Amendment, and so we never heard from him. But when we sentenced, um, they tell you, with that they tell you, hey, the person in Texas only has to serve half their time and then they're eligible for parole so they can get out. Oh, but jurors, you are not to consider this when making your decision. So why tell them? Like, literally,
Right.
that should be struck.
Right.
You shouldn't be able to tell somebody how. So what ended up happening in our case is they wanted, oh boy, to do 15 years. He's out now, thank God. I used to rate him. They wanted him to do 15 years, so they gave him 30.
Okay.
That was the old DA's office.
Okay.
Very old. But so in this one, I'm not sure. I believe, but I'm not certain that they still tell them that same thing. Like, the person can get probation at half, but you're not allowed to consider that. But they always do. So if she gets 5 years, she'd only have to do 2.5 and could be out, get her life back. But if it's more, then it's more. Here's my thing. I don't think she should do life. I do not. I don't feel she walked in there with an evil spirit with malice and said, I'm lighting somebody up today. I actually would give her something more inclined with if a regular person had done this, a non-cop had done this, no prior history, something else. So for me, I feel like something in the range of her actually serving 5 to 10 years, I wouldn't be mad at. If she got more and she gets more, that's fine.
Right.
But I wouldn't be picketing and screaming injustice necessarily if it were 10 years. Because her 10 years is different. Go ahead. I'm here.
No, you could. I was just going to say interesting because I've heard, well, go ahead and tell me why her 10 years is
Well, for
different.
me, her 10 years is a death sentence.
Right.
Like, yeah, I know they say they separate people by race, but even white people don't like cops in jail. And you sure don't like cops that shoot people unarmed.
Right.
And you sure don't like racist cops. So put it all together. She's really just going to have to hang out with the rich women that killed their husbands with, under a conspiracy theory or something and tell, racist jokes under their breath as they're drinking jail coffee. She's not going to have a lot of options, or she's going to have to stay in special segregation. And I don't feel like she should get literally beaten, raped, and raped daily for the rest of her life, which is a very viable thing to happen. Just being real as a defense attorney. So, what are your thoughts? That's kind of my thoughts.
Well, I think you a little more merciful than I am. I too.
Because I do see it as a death sentence. I think whether it's 10 years or I see it as a death sentence. And she ain't making it. I don't think she's making it.
See,
so go ahead. Sorry.
No, so for me, as you know, and people who listen to the show, I'm always so pro defendant, and I think that there's so many things that come into play when sentencing and juries and all that. So that's where my heart starts, right? But then I apply it to her and knowing the situation and all the factors that play into that, and I don't give her the same slack for the reasons police officers, several things, right? Race, things of that nature, or that race may have been a factor. So,
and wait, can you just elaborate? Because I didn't hear the prior episodes. Generally, like how do you feel race may have been a factor in this one?
well, I mean, if as you mentioned, if Botham Jean was Billie Jean, sitting on the couch or in the room in the apartment, I doubt she shoots him. If Michael Lee or Blair or any one of the thousands of black cops in Dallas had walked through that door, I don't believe they had shot him. If a Hispanic cop, an Asian, I think that, because of our, well, being a minority, we're used to dealing with other people all the time. We've got to, we have more levity and acceptance than um,
We do.
our white counterparts oftentimes,
Okay.
right?
I follow you.
So with that being said, yeah, no, I mean that's where race, like I don't think she went home and say, yeah, I want to kill me a nigga today. I'm not gonna get no dick for 30
Right.
minutes, and oh, I'm so mad that I work in Pleasant Grove and I'm so angry. I don't believe any of that. You feel me? I think she was just made,
I think she did.
she did make a series of mistakes, but none of
Yeah.
those excuse her because if I come home and I get mad at my old lady, or
No, I'm not excusing her. I mean, she's going to serve time.
right, no, but I'm
But
just
yes,
saying, I'm talking about the as far as like the actions for murder. It doesn't matter
yes,
what I did like 2 minutes beforehand. If I
you're
do,
right.
if I commit that crime and knowingly and intentionally cause her death. So anyway, so that's my long answer to how race plays a factor. I don't think it's that big of a deal. I've heard too many people though, especially white people, accuse us of bringing that into play, and I'm like, I don't even bring it up. I mentioned that he's black because he is black, and too many black men are shot by the police. But I always say that the cops shoot too many people. So let's start there, and then let's break it down to the disproportionate number of black people. But anyway, so that's my
Yeah, yeah. But I also I do just for the simple fact that she clearly don't have a lot of black friends. She clearly, she clearly doesn't have a lot of interaction with us. And the bottom line is, I think based on that, it could be based on her lack of interaction with us. Whatever. She, for whatever reason, presumed he was a burglar and that he didn't belong, and she did. And I do believe that his race played a part of that, especially if you ain't got no black friends. And so someone could say, at the end of the day, that would make race a factor. Now, and I could say, if I came home and a white man was sitting on my sofa, I'd be like, who the fuck are you, Jeff? Who are you? Like, I would also run in the hallway and, get help or whatever.
right,
But so I think when people say, it's not about race, I think in this instance, race is simply a descriptor.
right.
It is a factor as far as it went towards, it actually may benefit her in that she could have argued like, I don't got no black friends. I mean, she's not going to, but I don't got no black friends. When I saw a black man in here, I knew he didn't belong. Nobody's gonna say that. But I see, I hear you. I hear you.
So yeah, so that part there. So then, if we're talking about sentencing specifically, I I think she needs to get out of jail when she's an old person. And what I like Botham has missed 2 birthdays since he was shot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And this is real emotional for me to say, to say this, or I know I'm speaking very emotional, not objectively, but he ain't gonna have no more birthdays. I went on Sunday to them celebrate his 28th birthday, and he's not there. You know what I mean? So I feel like the that pain she needs to feel, and I'm sure she does, but I guess she needs to be put away for a long, long time, and she needs to be an old woman when she gets out. If she gets out, she's 31 now. Getting out before and when she's in her mid 40s, I know prison will do a toll on her. I'm sure. I don't think that's long enough. I think you need to up that. I think we need to double that. I think we need to get to the 30-year range, 40-year range for a sentence because you're really
Now,
sending a
but
message.
let's keep in mind, we are the same county that in the Jordan Edwards case,
15 years
that
for Roy
cop
Oliver. Yep.
shot that teenager, that 15-year-old boy in the back of his head. They only gave him 10 years. What in
He got
all of the
he got 15, but yes, I'm with you.
15? Yeah,
Yes.
15.
But
He better do every fucking day. He
see,
better do every day.
which is why I'm saying that 15 is not enough because if Jordan Edwards is the
He better do
excuse me,
every day. You know what? I'm gonna mail him a cell phone so he get caught with a cell phone in his cell, just so he gets more time at it. He need to do every day. Y'all, all of us do that. Y'all send him like some dirty pictures or something. Send him contraband so he has to do every day.
y'all remember who told you to do that? I agree with it, but y'all remember
Just
who
kidding.
gave you the
Just
order to do it? Yes, the
yeah.
explicit
So
order.
I guess so in relation to knowing that that was a prior jury.
Right. But do you think this jury knows that? I mean, with all how many people
Man,
in Dallas do you
I don't
really
know. I feel
think
like they
know
picked
that?
these people because they were kind of clueless. They were either
That's
clueless or smart enough to pretend to be clueless. That's what I
exactly.
would assume.
So so
Because
so
I wouldn't
so
want to see them listening.
so like that 15 years is a precedent, if you will. But if nobody knows it, at least the people making the, like to your point, in other states, the judge makes the decision. So to me,
Yes,
that 15
in
years
most
comes more into
states,
play when they're following what's
guidelines.
happened in front of the guidelines. Excuse me. But in this
Right.
case, it's so I don't know. I'm just saying that she needs to be an old woman, and old is subjective, but she needs to be over 45, 46 by the time she gets out of there. She needs to be
No,
closer
I hear you.
to
And see,
getting that check.
I'm fine with the longer sentence and giving defendants. I believe all defendants, all races, creeds, and color, should have the opportunity for redemption. So if you want to do stuff while you're all up in there, like I love the podcast Ear Hustle,
Oh
and
yeah, that's
that
my
guy
show.
did 21 years.
Yeah.
They commuted his sentence from life to 21 years.
Shout out
So
to
I
Erlon
think that
Woods. He's home. Yep.
shout out, boy.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I mean, yeah, a sentence that allows her time to redeem herself and perhaps come out earlier, because I could absolutely see a governor commuting her sentence or parting her sentence after an amount of time if she has some substantive change, some concrete, efforts. But yeah, so I just wanted to talk about that, and then I just wanted to make sure before we close, I just wanted to talk about the new DA's office
Let's do that.
and how that kind of all came together to make this possible. It's
Hey,
blowing.
before you do that though, I want to ask you: Can is it possible
Yeah,
for you to contrast Craig Watkins and versus where we are today? And, obviously you got Craig Watkins, you got crazy
okay.
ass Susan Hawk, and then you have Faith Johnson, and then you have Cruzo. So, but because Craig Watkins was black too, and obviously the Conviction Integrity Unit, and he did at least I know the Conviction Integrity Unit, which obviously it was the first one in the country,
I love
and
that.
it
Woo,
got
yes, I
it,
used to be in law school watching those TV
it was
shows.
one day great. Him and Tanya. Yeah, when I
He
first
was
saw
doing
those.
so good. He was doing so good that it's my understanding that city council basically voted to not allow the show to continue simply because it was making Dallas look bad, which is
Right.
kind of true. You got all these exonerations. It does look bad. It's like, wait a minute. But no, so I was in law school
Okay.
when Craig Watkins basically was DA. So I can't compare his. I know though that he made
Because
serious
I say that
efforts.
because I want people. I'm sorry. I just want people to know
Yeah,
that yes, we have a black DA now, but I want them to also understand that like it's not the first time. I mean,
no,
so
you're right.
so
You're right. That's a good point.
and so you may
And
not have
it's
been around, but I just want them to get the what's really happening
sure.
today.
So he could only and DA Watkins could only do what the community and the voters kind of would support and allow him to do. We at that time were not ready for the strides in criminal justice reform that we are open and ready to now. So he absolutely had a more diverse workforce, which is crucial because I feel like we are more empathetic. We look at the facts differently. We see cases for what they are. Like I had a case in Tarrant County. It was two dope dealers arguing over something, and one dope dealer stole the other dope dealer car, and then gave it back to him 2 days later. And I thought, well, that was very nice of him. And the state wanted my client to have 20 years. And I'm like, listen, Becky, come on, Becky, Mackenzie. We'll call her Mackenzie. Mackenzie, listen, Mackenzie, I don't know if you're aware, but both of these gentlemen have extreme histories. These are two dope dealers, and I just really don't think those in Tarrant County are really going to care too much about it. Just a little argument with two dope dealers. And I said, and furthermore, Mackenzie, dope dealers don't testify. They don't come up. They don't show up. And she's like, well, he said he's going to be there. I'm like, all right, dummy, I done told you. Sure enough. And because I was like, listen, it's summer. I wanted to go to the Essence Festival. Who the hell wants to be prepping for a trial when the
Right.
dope dealer victim ain't fucking showing up? My client was a co-defendant. The co-defendant's trial was like a month prior. Sure enough, oh boy, don't show up. On the day of pre-trial, because they wasted my fucking time, made me drive on the day of pre-trial. I get there and I get from the prosecutor, she discloses a text from the victim, from the so-called victim, basically saying, I ain't coming to trial. I done told you I'm not coming to trial. I'm not going. And the real one who did it that case has already been dismissed, so y'all just leave this other nigga alone. And I was like, see, Mackenzie, I told you, have a good summer. I wouldn't have that problem in Dallas County. In Dallas County, I would have told Rosalind, I'd be like, look, Rosalind, let's save the city resources. Let's let my client's been in jail for a year. Let's do time served 3 years, give them some back time. And I'd be like, come on, Rosalind, it's July 4th weekend. I know you've got a family reunion. I've got Essence. And she'd be like, let me see. And then get back to me and be like, okay, but he's going to have to report like for some extra time or whatever she would say. But
Right.
it's just more reasonable. It's more fact based. And like today, literally, I had a client who, for whatever reason, well, for financial reasons, he couldn't do the plea deal because he wasn't going to be able to afford it and was going to have to take a time served. Do you know the prosecutor goes, no, I are you sure? I don't want. We can get on a payment plan. He can go to the third floor. Where do they do that at? Oh my gosh, it was beautiful.
Right.
I was like, I enjoy this work. I like working across from respectful people with good common sense whose superiors support their good judgment. And so even to compare this one from the most recent DA Faith
Johnson.
Johnson. Okay. Okay, DA
Who's
Johnson.
who's black
She's
as well. People,
she
I'm
is.
not everyone listening or watching may know that. So yeah, so John Crusoe's
Yes.
black. Before him, Faith Johnson, Republican, appointed by Greg Abbott after crazy ass Susan Hawk, Republican, who lost her, stepped down, lost her job, whatever the heck. She has Susan Hawk has some issues, and she's no
She
longer here.
has some
So
issues. We don't talk about mental health people like that.
I
But
just
some
said
people did
issues.
feel like she should have stepped down earlier, that she stepped down early. But I do hear
Well,
you.
in my
But so
defense, the mental
basically,
issues weren't disclosed until much later. But go ahead. Yes.
correct. So the issue with okay, so the issue with and DA Faith was a judge in Dallas County for like over 10 years on the Republican side. Actually, she is highly respected within the Black community. So much so, a lot of people didn't even know she was Republican. But the issue is this: even when you are appointed by a Republican regime, in the end of the day, you have to implement their philosophies. So I personally felt that when she, like with Botham, yeah, when she had it up to murder, I wondered, is this a strategy for the election? Because if so, honey, it's a good one.
Right.
It's a real good one.
Of course it was. I
Plus,
mean, of course it was. I mean, you don't.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Plus, remember with the Jordan Edwards case, I think she personally argued
she did.
at points, and that is never done. But so all of that was to say, yeah, unification with the Black community. Now, ultimately, she didn't win. Let me tell you this: we have true criminal justice reform. We can talk about it more in depth later, but like for example, DA Crusoe instituted the new rules that if it's a misdemeanor and it's marijuana misdemeanor and it's your first offense, as long as you don't got like scales and paraphernalia for selling, they'll dismiss it. And he came out, he even did a letter that had 5 points on, changes of policies such as those. And another one of those is if you're a first offender, they want you to do some type of pretrial so that you can get it expunged and it won't be on your record, et cetera, et cetera. And what was so brilliant about what he did, his commitment was clear because what he did was he wrote it in a letter and he submitted it to the public. Some people said, oh, he shouldn't have did that.
Right.
I said, yes, he should have. Here's why. Because I was sitting in a prosecutor's office, my damn self, and hear another attorney, a defense attorney, trying to work out a plea for a client who didn't know that policy was there. And I said, oh, girl, that's the marijuana. Honey, get that dismissed for your client. Then under the new policy, see page 1 of the letter. And they were like, really? Thank you. So basically, it's no longer the good old boys networks where the people who know the DA get the special deals and everyone else. No, there's full disclosure. And so you know what you're dealing with. At the same time, if I got a client who's out here cutting up, doing ridiculous things on video, I'm gonna be like, look here, bro. Here's what's gonna happen. Here are our options. And they get confused when I talk like that. But whatever. And they be like, Miss Symone, I really appreciate you breaking it down to me though. You the truth. You the truth. Yes, I am, and I'm not playing. But so anyway,
Your
so
voices are very good, by the way. I don't know if you know that, but your voices are very good.
thank you. It's inspired by my father
Obviously.
from West Dallas Projects. That lead poisoning, boy. He's got so many personalities. Just kidding. But yeah, so I guess I can say that with the new DA came new judges,
Right.
new staff. And the thing is, he got rid of a lot of people to the point where I had this one dumbass prosecutor where I just kept resetting stuff because I was like, I know she's gonna get fired because this lady is really stupid. And sure enough, she was gone. So I just had to wait for that new DA to come in. So he basically cleared a lot of those people transferred to Tarrant County, Collin County, whatever, other places where they fit more. Because there's a certain philosophy and a mentality that we got a lot of new diverse attorneys from Collin counties and Tarrant counties and so forth. And if you come prepared, they will listen to you. You may not get what you want all the time, but it's something powerful about being able to go back to your client and saying they listen to the facts, they listen to the situation. Here's what the law says, and the offer that you have is actually a good one.
Right.
You don't get to do that a lot. So yeah, and I think it also comes with the new judges. I can go on and on about them, but I mean, we got some really good judges.
And
Like I
and you
shouldn't
know,
be
the
so
election time is coming
surprised.
up. Well, and I just election time, you know, more judges are running. You know, so folks need to make sure that they look at the slate and see who's out there running because you know, if you want more Tammy Kemps. And if you know, when Faith Johnson was a fair judge and all these I mean,
And let me say something about Judge Kemp because she gets a bad rap. Okay, so what happened was Judge Kemp was previously a prosecutor with the DA's office, probably multiple DA's office, but for many years, maybe like 20 years. So a lot of defense attorneys don't or did not previously like her because they felt she leaned too much to the prosecution and she kind of only listened to what the prosecution said. Well, I knew this would be a great case for her. I was scared they'd give this case to one of the white male judges
right,
that's still left. We don't have that many left on the felony benches and stuff. But I was glad that they gave it to her. And I say gave because to be um it's supposed to be random, but it ain't. Whenever cops are involved, that's another story.
okay,
But what she did, it was very clear that her goal is whatever happens, I want this to be a verdict that sticks so that the people of Dallas can determine it. Because honestly, if it was overturned and she got a retrial, it ain't gonna be in Dallas County pretty much. It's
right.
probably gonna get transferred. And so, like for example, the Castle Doctrine, allowing that in, some people were like, well, why did she do that? That was to appeal proof it
Okay,
because
that makes sense.
yeah, yeah, and some other things the self defense to allow the self defense argument was to appeal proof it and to narrowly let her stupid ass experts speak on narrow things as opposed to wholesale excluding them because that's how you get your stuff overturned is if you basically prevent a defendant from putting on his all of his defenses
Right.
and she got to do that. So I was happy to see that and I could see it was all of that working together, that level of reasonableness. And when you know that the DA's office is going to bring their best and brightest, not just have somebody out there to say, well, we tried, it made a difference. It really made a difference.
So I don't know how much time you have left. We can go ahead and wrap this up. If
Yeah.
you if but so what did you think about Hermes? The I'm sure you've dealt with him previously. I would hate to get in trouble in Dallas County and have to have that man on my ass. I tell you what, but especially in as cut and dry a case as this appeared to be. So what did you think about? Oh, you know what? Before I do that, so real back to Tammy Kemp. You know, she before the last election, she was endorsed by the Dallas Police Association, and I
So was I. So
okay.
was I.
Oh, so okay, cool,
So
right.
yeah.
So and that says a lot, right? But
No,
obviously,
I'm saying just because you're endorsed by them doesn't mean you can't be fair.
well, obviously, well, yeah. I mean, clearly, I mean, especially in a case that
No, well,
has.
no. Some people try to tear me a whole new asshole, but continue.
Oh well. Now that I've seen Judge Kemp be fair, I will reserve all my judgment that I would have on you by being endorsed by them. But I get it though because you know obviously. I mean, it's just, you know, it's an association. And if they find you fair, they find you fair. I was worried, though, to begin with, knowing the relationship between Mike Mata and, you know, I didn't know all the details that I now know of what happened that night based on what the jury didn't get to hear about their interaction, him coming to the scene. But I was worried about that initially. I brought that up to people who listen to this show, just to keep in the back of their mind that, hey, watch who, is on her side. But,
But
she
I
went
also
past
say
that.
about Mike Mata. I pray for Mike Mata. I pray for his family.
Mike
His
Mata is
job
the
is in
president of the
TV.
Dallas Police Association, just so people know.
Yes, yes. And basically, I was gonna say, if I was in a union, I want him to be the president of my union too. You have to keep it in context, and the context being, you want a union leader who's going to represent your interests, protect you, and give you the full ability to both execute your job and yeah, execute your job, but also to know all of your rights and your options. You would want him to be. So I can understand why some people in the community, they feel like he just sides with him, but it's like someone's lawyer. Think of him having the same role like a someone's lawyer. It's his job to defend and protect this person, but that don't mean that behind closed doors he ain't getting in that ass.
No, I'm with you.
You know what I'm saying? Like in that way. But
Okay.
yeah, it was hard. Yeah, I mean, yeah. If I was in a lawyer's union, I would love for the president of the bar. If I shot my ex boyfriend, who whatever, um, snapped. I would want the level of support, that the union has. It's not the union; it's the association. But yeah, you see what I'm saying.
I
But
mean, right. I got
yeah,
you. Okay. No, I'm
mhm.
with you. Okay. So no. All right. I wanted to bring that up, and then but let's we were talking about. I lost my train of thought, so I guess we'll go ahead and shut it down then, since I can't keep up anymore. But
No, yeah. I
so
just think, yeah,
what are your closing
tomorrow we should.
thoughts?
I think my closing thoughts are that I think we very well may get the jury's sentencing tomorrow. Very well may hear what that is, simply because it does have to be unanimous. But I mean, they came back so quick to me with the prior verdict. So I think we're probably going to hear that tomorrow. I am. I feel like I did something. I literally feel joy, and I feel safe. I feel so safe. I want to like call my godsons from out of town and be like, you can come visit me.
Hmm.
I don't know. I feel a sense of safety that was stolen from me by the Trayvon Martin verdict.
Interesting. That's pretty powerful. I I don't. I have a similar similar feeling to that as well. I mean, it's been a long time since I've been 26, but I was once 26 and lived in the city of Dallas, probably about, I don't know, 3 4 miles from where he lived, and not to be too whatever, make it too personal, but I smoked maybe smoking weed back then. Had a little smell in my apartment. Definitely like ice cream and used to watch football.
Oh yeah, and when old girl said she smelled it and she continued like nothing, girl, bye. Bye, bye, bye. I loved how the prosecution said she ignored every one of her senses.
Right.
Like, come on, girl. You Helen Keller in this bitch? No. You didn't see it. You didn't hear it. You didn't feel it. All right, Helen.
All right. So, and I guess on that note, we'll see if Helen is can get to the proper cell tonight, because I guess tonight she is they go to bed early
Yep.
in jail, so she's yeah, she got they get up they go to bed early and get up early,
It's
don't they?
loud in there. Yeah,
Yeah.
they go to bed earlier, but it's loud in there. Bless her heart. I'm gonna pray for her. But
Yeah.
yes. And yeah, I just wanted to encourage everyone, please follow me on Instagram. It's
Oh, definitely.
Symone Redwine. That's my name. It's Symone with a Y, because I'm black and my grandma's creative. She named me. And also follow me at Is That Legal Show on Instagram. I'm gonna be uploading some episodes. And if you ever want some free legal advice, each Wednesday night at 9:30, I'm gonna be going live giving free legal advice for entertainment purposes only, for those based on Texas law and how to like resolve different things. And finally, if you or a loved one is in need of an expungement or to steal something from your record, check out my website, myrecordisclean.com. Basically, if it was your first offense and it was a misdemeanor, even if you got time served, I can probably get it off. Or if you successfully completed deferred adjudication, give me a call, 214 Erase It. That's right, 214-372-7348. Thanks.
How did you get 214 erase it? That's a player move right there. But yeah, everyone make sure you
I'm
hit
from
with
Oak Cliff.
that's
It's
my
the Oak Cliff
hood. All
phone
right.
number.
That's what's
It was
up.
an Oak Cliff phone number that fit for my mama house. So I 214-372-7348, District 4. So yeah, 214 erased it.
Okay, no,
I
that's dope. So yeah,
I
no,
love
yeah. So everyone, Symone is a highly respected legal mind here in Dallas. You see, she's very funny and entertaining, but obviously she knows her stuff, and I really appreciate
and
her
she's done
you.
graduates. Sorry. Oak Cliff educated and Ivy League educated.
Beautiful. Tell what I may have been talking. Where'd you go to school?
I went to high school at the Bishop Dunn Catholic School in Oak Cliff. Then I went to my undergrad at University of Pittsburgh and studied finance and got my law degree from Cornell University School of Law in Ithaca, New York.
Beautiful. All right. See, so
Mhm.
very credentialed, highly qualified. So yeah. So thank you again for coming on to the Vocal Minority Report. I really appreciate it, and yeah, look forward to checking you out on Wednesdays on your show. Is that legal?
Thank you.
And
Oh, and also check me out. I'm gonna have a stand-up show coming up soon.
oh, she's
I
a comedian
will.
too. Yeah. I mean, geez Louise. Yes, she's a comedian. I know
Can't
you
go
can
to no
tell
class
she's.
clown of Cornell Law School. Whatever. Whatever. I
What,
refuse. I declined the nomination. I was like, y'all not gonna have me shucking and jiving for y'all. Have people think I'm out here cooning. But yes, check my page for updates.
so did you not
Thank you
accept
guys for
the?
opening your mind.
Did you not accept it, the award, or what?
No, they asked me if I wanted to be nominated class clown. I was like, no, like y'all
Okay.
got two black people and you want me to be tap dancing like the Sandman. No. I said, no, thank you. So they gave it to my white homegirl.
Gotcha. See, principled since day one, all the way back at Cornell.
Ah,
See that's what you get
yeah,
when you
my
deal with
future.
Symone Redwine. All right, so we will shut it down. Really appreciate it, everyone. I'm going to go ahead and close this. If you have any, we,
What?
if you have any questions or anything, email me, holla at me. You can vocalreport@gmail.com. Follow me on Facebook at the Vocal Minority Report, Instagram, the Vocal Minority, and we'll have new episodes. Now this trial is over, we will get back to our more normal social justice beat and talk about Anthony Hill in Georgia, the Muhammad Noor case. He was an officer who just got sentenced to 12 years in Minneapolis. And there's so much more stuff to talk about in our city and beyond. So thanks, everybody. We'll holla at you. Peace.
Thanks. Good night.
All right, the stream is stopped now, so
Oh, wow.
we
So
are
yeah, I think I'm gonna when you send it to me, I'm gonna chop it up and take some entertaining parts and maybe kind of mash them up together.
definitely,
I had
yeah,
fun.
yeah. I had fun too. I really appreciate it. Like, sorry, it
Did
wasn't as
anybody have
smooth.
questions?
They didn't. There was
Okay.
no
I
questions. There were,
figured for the technical difficulties.
yeah, there were comments, but no. There was
Okay.
some write-ons and some, but nothing. No one had any. No one had no comments, which sucks. So yeah, that's my fault for the technical difficulties. But hopefully we can link
No
up
problem.
again and do this. But I'll send you the audio and the video, and then you can
Yes. Someone
do
told me I need to start using video. Yeah.
yeah. Well,
So that's
definitely.
awesome.
Because and I'll tell you. So what I do is, so I take the video, and then I put it on. Well, it's live, so it's on Facebook. I strip the audio. Sometimes I just upload it raw to my podcast, and then I put the same video on YouTube as well. So I've got three different pieces of collateral there. If you do a
Right.
transcript, you can do an article. So yeah, so let's link up and talk about how to
Cool.
propagate your content. But yeah, again, really
Cool.
appreciate it. Next time I'll be more prepared. I usually have more questions
No
and all
problem.
that. But
What part of town do you live in?
North Dallas, like across from TI.
Oh, okay, Richardson. Cool. I am in Uptown, so that definitely works.
Oh yeah,
And how long have you been podcasting?
since 2015.
Oh, you're a
Yeah,
pro. Oh my
but
God.
back before everybody had a show. Now everybody's got a show, but like back then, only like 100,000 of us had a show. Now like 1 million of us have a show. You know what I mean? But
No, that's dope. That's
but
dope.
yeah,
Yeah, and I definitely want to. My YouTube channel is that legal? Yeah, it's also called Is That Legal? And so yeah, I definitely want to have some shorter ones, some different snippets. And I bought a green screen, so that'll be fun. I can use that too. But yeah, this is fun. This is good for my self care.
yeah. Oh yeah. See, and we need to. So we need to do that. We need to talk about self care because obviously law is good, but let's get you back on and talk about some different things, and then if you have time, maybe we can link up because I have some.
I do.
You know.
My priority, like, I need to figure out how to start
And
monetizing
and now I can drink my
this.
beer.
Go for it. I want to start monetizing this, and ultimately, I would love to be like a correspondent on Vice
Okay.
or Revolt.
Well, I mean, yeah, that's very awesome. So yeah, I think I can help you too. You know Obi, don't you?
Obi Emanuel? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I was talking to him and I asked him if he. I knew you knew him because I was talking to him and I asked him if he knew. But I
Did he
like.
say I'm good people?
He said you're all right. No, he
Okay.
he no he did. No, he said you were great because actually we were talking about you behind your back in a good way because
That's so funny.
he and I.
I like him because he lets me like tell him. Sometimes Obi needs like he's so smart, so sometimes he just needs somebody to be like, okay, Obi, but what about this or whatever. And he's not an easy personality to do that with, but he listens to me and he receives it. He doesn't receive it in a negative way. So I appreciate that our friendship has grown and he trusts me in that way.
Yeah, no, see, I'm still getting. He and I contacted him about a case, Christy Hobson,
Why does that sound familiar?
because because he's working with the family. She's the black girl from Lancaster that her white boy. She went down to Nacogdoches and never came back. She was found dead in her boyfriend's in his house, in his bedroom, shot in the head, and they called it a suicide. He's the son of a sheriff's deputy. So
Oh
yeah,
wow,
so there's all
that's
kinds of
pretty.
there's I mean so yeah, I mean all kinds of crazy stuff. So I contacted him after I saw the story on Channel 11 like 3 or 4 years ago because I wanted to cover it because that in the vein of
Yeah,
hey, we can get some stuff happening here, and I
sure.
reached out to him. So anyway, so that's how he and I got on the. But yes, his personality is is intense. He's a different kind of guy. But anyway, so we were talking about working together. I'll bring it how you came up. So he and I talking about working together on this one case, and then broader than that, having like podcasts and putting people on basically. So do you know Symone? Because I'm like, you know what? She could like host the show. I mean, this is just me talking to him. Like, what if we got added some depth there? So, and he was, oh yeah, I know her, and she'd be great. Blah blah blah. So, but anyway, but yeah. So yeah,
Thank you.
we should definitely link up and talk more and just kind of see what's going on
I
because
would
you
love
know.
that.
So yeah. So
I would love that because the way my ADD is set up, I need a someone to be the boss of me. Like I have ideas, and my ideas are like,
right.
and it's really cute because like my sister wants to do help me do like the website stuff and help me with like my image portion of it. And I'll just tell you this last part. So 4 years ago, I went with my cousin. She's like my keister. She's like my cousin slash sister. She is beautiful and was asked to go on the Steve Harvey show, talk about dating. I went on with her to support her, and we ended up being viewer favorites. They brought us back 3 times. Um, did talk each time about dating stuff. Well, the what is it? The
And I remember
producer
I
of the
told you I
show,
want to talk dating with you. See, you got that dating thing down. But go ahead. But yeah.
yeah, the producer of the show, and it was really fun. He ended up hooking me up with Laz Alonso, who's gorgeous, but just wanted to plug his TV show, so that's okay. He didn't
Right.
like me. That's okay. Lots of people don't. And but the producer loved me and wanted to develop a show about Texas lawyers around me.
Mm-hmm.
But I told her I don't like lawyers, especially Texas ones. So she came down here. She had her staff kind of start initially working on it, and it didn't fit. It was like I actually told them I said, if you're gonna have a show about me, it must include Justin Moore. Period. If it's gonna be about Texas lawyers, it must include him. And they loved him. They loved me. Whatever, but we couldn't make it work. So but she's always said, if I go back to being a judge, she'd give me a judge show. And I think if I had good content and was consistent, I could easily pitch a concept to her. And she's with Endemol. She's with like she has a huge production company.
Right.
She did like a series called Jersey Licious and a variety of others.
No, I mean I see it. You know what I mean. So you mentioned earlier, some the boss of you or whatever. But when I went to see this therapist one time, we were talking, and I forget what we were
Oh,
talking about.
this one time at therapy?
Yeah, exactly. But she was we were I'm talking about me being successful and working on stuff or whatever. But she was saying, you need a visionary and a planner. Every good idea has a visionary and a planner. And I'm like, and ever since she said that to me, I'm like, you know what? You're exactly right. You have to, and most people aren't both.
Meaning on your team.
Right. Yeah. I mean, to get an idea going, yes. So generally speaking, because one person usually doesn't have that capacity to do both, especially if it's an idea that they're really into. So
I ain't planning shit, but I can envision it.
right. See, and I'm a hell of a visionary, but to get this shit done, you got to do the planning, right? But there's a meeting of the minds. But yeah, no. But definitely, yeah. Because I'm trying to put something together. You know. I don't know. Sorry, I'll just keep talking. So let me go because I like talking about media and what we can do, and especially when someone has the mindset to get going. You've already got a following, people who like you and respond to you. You know what I mean? So I think it's perfect, especially if you want to. Because I just started going live. Like my show, is good. I can turn on the mic and just talk. But standing here or sitting here and looking and trying not to, drink a beer or be too bored or whatever the case is. I shouldn't say it's difficult, but to your point of making money and monetization, creating evergreen content that is shareable, like that's what we got to do to make that paper. You know what I mean? And because you could have like 3 podcasts. You know what I'm saying? Like that's how I would look at it. You know what I mean? Like you're dating, you're legal, and then just a day in the life of a 30-something, whatever. You know what I mean?
YouTube channels. Because
Exactly.
I had a former client. Well, I had a woman that came to me for a consultation, and she managed YouTube artists.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, I learned that like if you've got like 200,000 subscribers, like her people started there when she found them. They were getting like 3K a month, but then she grew them in less than a year to 1 million, and that's 10 to 15,000 a month.
Hey, you should check out this. Her name is Rachel Miller. She lives in Fort Worth. She's a white chick that let's see. If you look up Rachel Miller Fort Worth, you'll see her. But she knows how to, like, she'll build a Facebook page, get 2 million likes, and then sell it. You know what I'm saying? But she knows how to build an audience. I think it's called like Moms Keep Giving is one of her businesses, but she gives you very, very helpful tints and tools and rules and tricks of the trade. So I would look into her for ideas, for motivation, for
Awesome.
everything. Because yeah, she's in Fort Worth, so you might be able to link up with her because the chick is sharp. I don't know how. I mean, she has these single funny looking white women like making all kinds of money, selling fucking baskets and shit. I mean, because they have the confidence, they have the audience, and they're doing the thing. You know what I mean? And so people with actual skill and talent and resources, like you, the sky's literally the limit. You know what I mean? So that's
Thank
just
you.
how I look at it. But
I
but yeah,
love
so
that.
yeah, I'd love to help. So yeah, let's let's
Awesome.
let's
Well, I'm
let's link
super
up.
excited. So, will you text me the links, or do you need my email?
Give me your email because these are going to be
Alrighty.
large
Actually, it's
file.
this email that I'm hangouting you on. Can you possibly add me? It's my name, Symone Redwine at Gmail.
Okay, well then yes, you don't have to do anything because I should be able to remember that. That's cool.
No
All right,
dots, no nothing.
gotcha. So yeah, so I'll send those to you. You'll obviously you'll be able to see this link on you'll be able to see the live, so you can actually see what it looked like because it looks different than
That's what I want to see. Cool.
yeah. So you'll be able to see. You can see that now as soon as we
Oh, dope.
hang up, and then I'll send you. Actually, it looks like I'm still recording. Oops. Oh, but I'll send all this to you. I'll edit off this last part and
Yeah,
send you
cool.
the rest. All right. Well, have a
Thank you.
wonderful night, and I
Thank
look
you so
forward to
much.
talking to you soon.
All right. Have a good one. Bye
All right.
bye.
You too. Bye bye.